because this is not only the thing with the UN, according to the thumbnail, the thing on it's something involving the UN and collective shout. So, did collective shout just somehow influence the UN? Okay, I'm officially concerned if this is the case. So, let's see what new thing we get to be pissed off about, shall we? Yes, thank you, Gore. Alerts are off. All right. Let's take a look.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rob here. So today me once again looking at the massive censorship campaign facing the video game industry as a result of feminist groups like Collective Shout and the pressure they're putting on Mastercard, Visa, and other payment processors that has resulted in the censorship of thousands of games.
Right.
Now today,
in other words, last time on this burning earth, right? Okay, Wombat, have a good night.
we're looking at some updates regarding how the industry is fighting back against this censorship movement, as well as a new campaign being launched by Collective Shout, and also the hypocrisy among the members of that group, and also how they got the United Nations involved in this campaign. Now, as always with these videos and these current times, I will remind you guys that you can help out this video and help spread the message by being an engaged viewer, which according to YouTube means liking, subscribing, or commenting on this video, even if you watch.
According to my research that I'm doing may not make a difference. Absolutely still like, subscribe, and comment to the videos, but it's questionable how much it's actually doing, unfortunately. Hi, Cortanis.
Watch the video in its entirety, your view might not be counted because of this new system, so being an engaged viewer, doing those three things can help out a lot and help spread the message. So thanks for doing that. You guys have responded really well to that, and it's helped out the videos where it's been mentioned. So let's get a quick rundown of what's going on here. Last time we saw Mastercard trying to battle with Valve, saying, hey, we never had any involvement, we're not trying to censor games, which is an outright lie.
The lie detector. Someone's gonna pop it, I know. The lie detector test determined that was an effing lie. And yes, I'm trying to tone down my language. Yeah, that was a lie. They Steam themselves, Steam and Itch both came out and said, we have to do this because of the payment processors. We don't have a choice. We have to do it. So Mastercard, you're a fucking liar. Shut up. The evidence saws are. See, this is the thing that confuses me. I don't understand why Mastercard keeps trying to push this narrative that we didn't do anything wrong when the evidence is plain as day out there that they did. So I still don't understand the logic behind Mastercard's PR group as to why they're even trying to lie about this in the first place when everybody already knows they've lied. So I'm trying to figure out the logic.
Sorry for bailing earlier, Ember. I had to step away. Titanfall 2 triggered my motion sickness. BTW, Mastercard lies.
It's okay, Leo. It's fine.
Why? In fact, you look at their own rules, you can see they have
here we
open-ended
go.
ones,
We've
especially
seen
when it comes
this.
to fictional content. They can pretty much censor anything they want. On top of that, we've seen Collective Shout, a group of feminists in Australia, basically useful idiots whose values align with the intended goals of Visa and Mastercard in their attempts at censorship, and they're using...
Well, Rygat, here's the thing. They didn't even try to pretend like Collective Shout made them do it. Here's the issue. If they tried to at least pretend that they got pressure from women's rights groups, which I'm sorry, I'm going to call it again. Collective Shout does not give a flying fuck about women. They don't care about women. They don't care about women's safety. They don't care about the safety of little girls because all they care about is controlling what fictional characters, gamers, film enthusiasts, and comic book enthusiasts can view because they don't actually care about real women. Because if they actually did care about real women, they'd actually be focusing on the real women and the real girls that are getting raped and abused and gooned over in other countries instead of continually attacking frickin' video games. All they do is attack video games and advertisements while leaving actual rape victims to fend for themselves. So Collective Shout is a collective scam. I really want to know right now who is funding Collective Shout. And we are at the point where we need to know who is funding Collective Shout. Who are their donors? Because they're going after video games. They're trying to get GTA 6 censored before it even releases. They go after advertisements because it's degrading to women. Yet they not once had they gone after any governments, police departments, anything of that nature, and demanding to know why when women and young girls approach them and say, I've been raped, I've been groomed by this people, and the police don't do anything about it, they say nothing. So who's funding Collective Shout? Who are they getting their donations from? That they're going after video games because they supposedly degrade women and going after, saying, oh, porn makes men violent and abuse and degrade women, when they won't actually go after men that actually are abusing and degrading women. So who's funding Collective Shout that they're ignoring real life victims and going at and defending fictional characters? We need to know this.
The complaints of Collective Shout to further censor all kinds of media, especially video games. And of course, I'll remind you, and this will be a theme in today's video with its members.
Exactly, here we
Cuties
go.
Is a film that Collective Shout as an organization supports. Okay, if you don't know what that is, it was a Netflix film from a few years ago that sexually exploited hundreds of children. They're okay with this, but they're currently launching a massive crusade against fictional content. Make it make sense. Now, of course, this group was ignored for many years, but their recent campaign where they go after payment processors and then have them put pressure on platforms to remove games.
Hey, Collective Shout. Collective Shout. This message is to you. I don't know if anybody from Collective Shout is watching. Probably not. I'm still going to issue this challenge to Collective Shout. You're going to raise objection to rape and incest games on Steam. Fine. You want to raise objections to rape and incest games on Steam? That is perfectly within your rights. Plenty of people have objected to this type of content. I have no issue with you objecting to that kind of content. Here's the question. Where is your objection to actual rape and grooming of young girls? Collective Shout, we want an answer from you. I'm issuing this challenge to Collective Shout. Where is your objection to the rape and grooming of real girls? I await your non-response.
Games has been a very successful one, resulting in thousands of games being censored or banned, including horror games, by the way. It's not just 18 plus hentai games or anything like that. We see games like Vile Exhumes removed, banned for sale. And some people are fighting back, including the developer, Cadaver, who has now made this game available for free on vileisbanned.com.
And Cadaver, you are based. You are absolutely based doing this. Along with, what was that other a game platform that has basically said we're not going to censor or get rid of any of our games. It was that distribution platform that we covered the other day. There are several, and GOG for that matter too. There are several that are fighting back and saying, we don't care what you have to say. Zoom, yes, thank you, Mechanist. Zoom platform. Kara Cadaver, Zoom platform, and GOG are basically at the front lines of fighting back in the gaming space. They have broadcasted, we don't care what Collective Shout says. We're not censoring our games. We're not removing them from the platform. If you don't like it, you can go suck a dick. Although this is Collective Shout, so chances are they're probably licking the folds instead of gobbling the sausage. But that is neither here nor there. Regardless, these gaming platforms have said, basically, fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
A lot of different groups are now releasing games that have been struck down or at risk of being struck down by this recent movement, provide a free option to people. I think that's a really cool thing to see. And also, we've gotten comments from the International Game Developers Association, who is seriously alarmed by the recent delisting of games. They're going as far as even saying that this is something that is lacking transparency in terms of these new policies, and they're leading to the delisting of the platform of legal, consensual, and ethically developed games. And they even go further, saying especially from LGBTQ plus and marginalized creators.
Here's the fallacy. They think Collective Shout actually cares about LGBT and marginalized creators. They do not. Collective Shout doesn't care about LGBT and marginalized creators. For one thing, they probably consider LGBT individuals to be an affront to God. Because leave us not forget, they claim to be a highly Christian group. So when it comes to LGBT, they're probably all about, like, you are an affront to God, you are living in sin, we don't give a fuck about you anyway. So they don't care about LGBT. Marginalized creators, yeah, they don't care about that. They don't care about other ethnicities. All they care about is their twisted version of feminism. And very fucking twisted. That's all they care about. They don't care about anyone else. And if you think otherwise, you're fooling yourself. Realistically, you are completely fooling yourself if you think they give a fuck about anybody but themselves, and if they give a fuck about anyone except for anything except building their own power. Felix, that is debatable. That is debatable if they're left or if they're right, and truth be told, it doesn't matter. I don't care if they're left, if they're right, if they're central, if they have their heads so far up the ass they're tasting what they had for breakfast. It doesn't matter. It's what they're doing that counts. When it comes to this, when it comes to someone doing something like this, their political affiliation means precisely jack shit. It doesn't mean anything. Look at what their deeds are. Don't look at what their political affiliations are, because their deeds are what counts. What they do and what they say is what counts, not what supposed political affiliation they ascribe to. That means nothing. The only thing we need to know about then is that they are trying to censor games under a false auspice of protecting women and girls, and that they supposedly do this from a place of devout Christianity. So I know one of two things about them. They are a twisted, fucked up version of feminism.
If they are Christians, then I have some land in southernmost Florida and a bridge in New York City to sell you.
But it doesn't matter. They claim to be. Okay? Oh, if they want to claim Christianity, fine. they can put a stain on other Christians. That's what they're doing. They're going to put a stain on other Christians who don't have an issue with these games. That they have no issue with what these people have an issue to. So look at their words, look at their deeds. Do not look at their political affiliations. Political affiliations don't mean anything in the long and short of it. Look at their deeds and look at their actions. That is what counts.
They're hitting them from every angle here, even trying to say that these sorts of bans are targeting people based.
Oh, and what I meant to, my initial thought before I started going off on that tangent is, it's great that the International Game Developers Association is doing something, but here's my question. How much of a voice and how much power do they have? Because if they're just like some group that, you know, game developers like it's like a collective of game developers, if they don't have a far-reaching voice and they don't have a substantial amount of power to basically lend strength to their voice when they discuss this with governments, I'm sorry, the words are kind, but it means nothing, realistically speaking. The only thing that's going to matter here is an organization that actually has some degree of power and authority to address these nations in regards to this censorship, or address companies like Visa and Mastercard in regard to the censorship. If they don't have that, it's pretty words, and unfortunately, that's it.
On their gender or sexuality or what have you. But of course, I told you guys we're going to get an update regarding Collective Shout. Now, this is a bit of a vague post, but it goes down a rabbit hole that is leading to the UN. Okay? We've gotten that far.
Based on publicly available information, Collective Shout is funded almost entirely through individual donor support, via its registered public fund and tax-deductible donation structure. There's no evidence of government, institutional, or corporate funding. Their listed partners appear to be advocacy allies, not financial contributors.
Yeah, Andrew, I kind of figured that this would have been done through public funding and tax-deductible donations. The question is, you don't think it's possible that some major corporations or even governments might do funding through a shell company to make it look like it's not coming from them? Because I guarantee you, Kit, that some of them are doing this. It's very easy to facilitate a donation to an organization and have a shell company in place that's not traced back to you. Guarantee it.
We're reaching the pinnacle once again, the pinnacle of useless organizations. But anyways, so here we have
it's possible,
Coralie
Shadows.
Allison making this post saying, "So good to see Melinda Tankard-Rice today. We come up with our best Collective Shout campaign ideas when we are together." And you can see, strategizing our next takedown.
Again, thank you, Kuma Bear. Oh God, wait, how many did you just gift? Holy crap, how many did you just get? 5. Oh, Kuma Bear, thank you. I didn't see it was 5. Thank you very much. But yeah, notice it's saying strategizing our next takedown. Again, they're trying to take down companies and not help actual victims. This is it's all about bringing down companies and not actually helping victims. So again, I pose the question, how are they getting funding from? No, Mechanist, there has been talk that Collective Shout is in government. I have not seen evidence to that yet, so I don't know. All I can see is what they are trying to do, and they're trying to take down companies, not actual predators. So again, it begs the question, who's funding them that has an axe to grind?
Here's something that will blow your mind, Ember. Alyssa Mercante herself has spoken out against Collective Shout.
What? Alyssa Mercante has spoken out against collective. Okay, who opened the fucking wormhole? Who opened the wormhole so we have now entered into a completely new dimension at this point? Okay. You know that a company is, or not a company, you know a group is bad if Alyssa Mercante is against them. You know that something is fucked up with these people if she's talking about it. Okay? Jeez. Well, no, Alistair, I like to think she's on the same side as us, not we're on the same side as her.
Interesting wording. You know, it's not like strategizing our next campaign to protect young girls. No, it's the next takedown. You see how we get, like, excited?
What did I say? What did I say? Yeah, their goal is to go after companies. So who's funding them that has an axe to grind against these companies they're going after? There needs to be a financial audit of Collective Shout. We need to get a forensic accountant on the books of Collective Shout, because right now it's feeling like they're being funded by someone that has these companies specifically targeted at this point.
About this is about controlling people. This is about censoring things they personally don't like. You know what? There's a lot of things I don't personally like, a lot of themes or games or whatever. But I don't think they should just be banned because they personally go against something I'm interested in or something I don't want to see. That's called freedom of expression. And these people want to censor and take down everything that they personally do not like. Now, of course, you're probably asking the burning question, and I'll answer in just a second. If you look at these two, right? Coralie Allison, who is the movement operations manager at Collective Shout, and Melinda here, who is the Collective Shout co-founder. Yes, they both support cuties.
Yes, we knew this.
If I had a nickel for every Collective Shout member who supports this disgusting piece of media, I'd have many.
What? Wait, whoa, hold up, wait, did we get a raid? Did we get a raid over in Kick? Did I miss a raid? I don't see one. Okay, we didn't get a raid. St. Quintus, why did you spook me like that? Okay. Hi, Nooks. Hi, Raiders. How's it going? Welcome in. Hi. Welcome in. How's it going? Oh, God, I'm getting a ton of follows again. Welcome in. I hope you had a good stream. Nux, I hope you get a good stream. And by the way, Nux, if you're still in the chat, I'm gonna let you know, you've got me down a fucking rabbit hole regarding you set me down a fucking rabbit hole on the auditor guy that I saw that you posted on YouTube today that you reacted to. You sent me down a rabbit hole on him, and I'm actually gonna probably do a react to one of his videos too, because that was impressive. So I hope you had a great stream, and thank you again for the raid. You guys caught us right in the middle. Of looking at what's going on with Collective Shout. So far it's just kind of been one and the same that we've heard. Yes, Just Bud. It's been stuff that we've already known about, although it looks like the International Developers Organization did speak out against Collective Shout, which is nice, Mo. But again, one thing that I did point out is, let's see, we're at 537, is they basically posted this Collective Shout posted this, strategizing our next takedown, which I was pointing out that why are you so focused on taking down companies instead of actually helping real victims of rape and grooming? Why have they not done a thing about helping these girls that are going to the police in, say, the UK and telling the police, I've been raped, and they don't do a thing about it? They're not offering any freaking support for that whatsoever. They're so focused on going after fictional characters, and who's funding that? I was asking the question, who's funding Collective Shout that they're only targeting companies and they're not actually striving to assist victims? Which is a big thing I've been talking about. Which I've been saying about Collective Shout for quite some time, actually, is that they will not help actual victims. They're only trying to help fictional characters, which is a big red fucking flag for me. And by the way, who was it that did that? Mechanist? Was that you that did the... God, so many follows. Everybody that followed, there's too many names to list right now. Thank you all for the follows, everyone that's following. Mechanist, thank you for the 10 gifted also. Yeah, it's... I don't know. I mean, this is Collective Shout. Maybe they do like it up to pooper. Who knows? But yeah, this is, so we're just getting a little bit more backstory with the Collective Cunts and seeing if there's more down the rabbit hole that we have not already discovered about.
Penny nickels at this point. Like a disturbing amount, because it seems like every single person you encounter from Collective Shout openly and vocally supports the right for this disgusting thing to exist. These two interacting right here like this is Collective Shout.
Oh, and by the way, Coralie Allison initially was vehemently against cuties. Her tweet prior to this that we've seen in the past was her slamming Netflix and saying that cuties should be banned, that Netflix should not release cuties, and was vehemently against cuties. And then all of a sudden, Melinda Tankard says something, and now all of a sudden Corley's like, oh yes, okay, yes, mistress, I'll do whatever you say. Why the 180 flip for Coralie from cuties is evil, which in that she was absolutely right about. Cuties is fucking disgusting and is exploitative to young girls. But all of a sudden she does a 180 flip and goes, well, maybe we should just wait and see. What did Melissa Tankard-Reese say to her offline to cause her to do this 180-degree flip?
In a nutshell, they have no problem with cuties existing, but they have a problem with fictional content and things that are just non-issues, right? They're speaking on behalf of women, but I wanted to point out one thing. I saw this while editing,
But they're not speaking on behalf of women. This is a point I've got to hammer home. These people are not speaking on the behalf of women. They don't care about women. They don't care about young girls. If they did, they would actually be trying to help real life victims instead of going after fictional characters. I keep repeating it, but it is a point I'm going to belabor. They don't care about women. They care about their own personal power and what they can exert. How they can use it to exert their will over the general populace, because they are power-hungry bitches that want to inflict their moral code on everyone else. They think everyone should ascribe to their moral code, bend the knee, and kiss their ring, and basically say, "Oh, you're so right. We'll do whatever you say." This is all about power. It is about their power to oppress everyone else. And if you think it's something else, you're deluding yourself right now.
Thought about this while editing. They have the same viewpoint as Sneeko, and I think there's something really funny about that.
Sneeko liked cuties. Why am I not surprised? Hey, Charlie! I think Sneeko needs another firearms education lesson.
Yes, in case you're asking, this is a real, now deleted video from Sneeko many years back where he said Cuties was his favorite film. And I think the irony here is really hilarious because Collective Shout would claim they're the furthest thing.
By the way, somebody check Sneeko's computer. Someone check the computers of Collective Shout. We need those hard drives checked. We need someone to, excuse me. We need someone to get in there and check those hard drives.
From someone like Sneeko, but at the end of the day, they had the same disgusting viewpoints when it comes to Cuties. But anyways, we're looking at this new mission. Like, what's the next mission? Well, maybe they're going to rehash this one that came from a couple years ago. People have found and dredged up this old post where Melinda was trying to cancel
I'm gonna let Rick
wish
cook for
shopping for this shirt that says "Push My Buttons" that was obviously made for women. You can see the image here. Well, the t-shirt apparently has more value than protecting the kids that were exploited for the film Cuties. Like, she cares more about this than what Cuties did. Cuties, like, she cares shirt.
And by the way, Melinda, I got a question for you. Wish is a Chinese company. It is basically operated by the Chinese Communist Party. Do you really think the Chinese Communist Party gives a flying fuck what collective cunts have to say? The Chinese Communist Party right now is looking at this tweet going, hey, thanks for advertising our t-shirt. We probably just sold another couple hundred because now people are actually going to go look for this t-shirt on our website. Yes, Spurlock's fuck communism, but the reality is, Wish is run by the Chinese Communist Party. And does Melinda Tanker Reese really think they give a fuck about her and her little collective cunts? Melinda actually just resulted in the sale of probably a couple of hundred more of these t-shirts just to piss her off. No, she's not supporting communism, Honey Poo. She's saying, like, hey, Wish, are you good with selling? She's trying to, like, make a dig at Wish like she's done at, like, the video game industry, trying to say, we're feminists and we don't like this because it's objectifying women. But it's the CCP who's selling them. And so Collective Shout just helped the CCP sell another couple hundred of these shirts. Because she's a fucking moron.
About this than what Cuties did. But anyways, you can see a lot of people, including women, saying, at least your tweets are finally getting viewed. Interesting how no one agreed with you then, and no one agrees with you now. Curious little thing, If you think China, of all countries,
Thank you, Bell Tower, for the subby. And
curious little
Tenkun,
thing,
here we go.
If you think China, of all countries, is going to cave to this BS, you're even more insane than I thought. I see you complaining and raise you in America. Shut the F up. You getting your ass kicked by real women. That shirt is adorable. I'd wear it, to be honest. Do you seriously not know that girls like to flirt? It's called being...
There it is. There it is. Collective Shout has it is a bunch of collective dried up cunts that basically, because they're not getting fucked, they don't want any woman to get fucked. So they don't even want women flirting, is what it boils down to. They want other women to be as dried up as they are. It is a flirty shirt, but Collective Shout doesn't want women to flirt. They want them all wearing nuns' habits and on their knees praying all day instead of on their knees sucking dick. That's what it boils fucking down to. Honey Poo, their end game is that they want everyone bowing to their will and basically applying Collective Shout's moral code to their own lives, so Collective Shout can control them. And Huckscythe and Vespasian, thank you both for the gifteds, by the way. Rico, please do. Absolutely flirt. You think Collective Shout's nonsense is gonna stop me from flirting? You know, I flirt with you guys all the time, and I ain't stopping. I ain't gonna stop. No matter what Collective Shout tries to say, I'm not gonna stop flirting with you guys.
A human, you defend a movie that exploited actual underage girls, but you're angry over a cute t-shirt. This just reads as envy, jealous.
Yes. As direct opposition to Collective Shout, I offer the following tribute. There you go. Hey, Collective Shout, what do you think about this? Huh? What do you think about this? Is this about ready to make your head explode? Some sexy anime girl thighs? Heck, you likey? What's wrong, Collective Shout? Are you scared of a sexy anime girl's thighs? What's wrong? Does this scare you? Don't worry, I'm just an anime girl. I can't hurt you. I offer myself as tribute.
Of the girlies having fun. Well, you know, in this case, no one hates their fellow women more than feminists, that is for sure. But this shirt's hilarious because at the end of the day, right, this is something a woman would voluntarily buy. They're not being tricked into this.
Yes. And that is the crux of it all. Is Collective Shout is acting like women are forced to wear shirts like this or wear garments that are flirty when women are the ones choosing to buy them. They are very conveniently ignoring that the women are wearing this by choice. But they refuse to acknowledge that because in their twisted, fucked up heads, women should not choose. Women should actually, in this regard, they're anti-feminist. They do not think that women should have the right to choose. They think that women should follow their dogmatic scripture, and they have no right to choose.
I find it personally pretty offensive how they're approaching this. They're basically saying women are so infantilized and stupid that they would never buy this shirt voluntarily. They were clearly exploited by evil men in order to make this purchase.
By Collective Shout's logic, Space Jam should be banned because I'm in a sports jersey.
Dan Lola over my cold, dead anime hands. We will never give up our Lona. What? You wanna know the funny part? Collective Shout hasn't gone after the furries yet. You notice, they've gone after the gamers. They haven't gone after the furries, have they? Why? Because they're probably genuinely terrified of what the furries would do to them if they actually tried to come after the furries. If they came after the furries, which, solidarity with the furries for a moment, I will offer my solidarity with the furries. They don't come after the furries because one of two things would happen. They'd either get a cyber bomb. Yeah. I'm not going to say it because YouTube already has me on their radar to try and give me a strike. So I'm not going to say what the other or is other than a cyber bomb. But we know. No.
Seems a bit demeaning if you really think about it. But, of course, one of the women commenting on this, Madam Savvy, would bring up a really good point. You know, if we're looking for a new strategy, a new campaign, a new thing to shut down, the next takedown for Collective Shout, what about South Park? You know, in their most recent episode, they had Dora the Explorer getting S-trafficked in the episode.
Yep. Okay, I don't watch South Park. That's a thing South Park did recently? They did a bit on South Park about Dora the Explorer getting trafficked? Holy shit! Wow. Okay. Alright, so Fat Parker and Trey Stone are not pulling punches anymore. Oh, shit. Okay.
But if you've been watching South Park, you know there's tons of characters, you know, the underage characters being hyper sexualized, and never hear from Collective Shout. Not that I'm trying to censor South Park or others like Family Guy, you know, think about all the things they've done to Stewie in that show.
God,
but you
yes.
never see Collective Shout go after the big dogs like that. You know why? Well, it's obvious. They're lawyered up. They will crush Collective Shout. That's why they go after IGDA.
Not to mention, especially with the new rise in popularity of South Park, if they were to try and go after South Park, they would get dogpiled if they tried to do that. South Park has become more popular than ever in the last few months. So they won't go after a company that is popular. Especially South Park, because Matt Parker and Trey Stone do not give a fuck. They will happily bitch slap Collective Shout back into the Outback.
Devs. You know, one or two dev teams, you know, a team that has two people on it or one person working out of a basement. They go after them because they know they can bully them around. But they'll never go after South Park or a major show.
This is what I've said.
Because
this is what I've said. They go after the soft targets. This is what I've been saying. Collective Shout doesn't go after the hard targets. They go after the soft targets that have a limited means of fighting back. That's why they go after the local bakeries for having a cheeky little slogan saying the best buns in town, because they don't have the means to fight back. It's why they use the payment processors to go after the gaming companies, because when they went after them directly, the gaming companies went, fuck off, bitch. So they can only target soft targets that can't fight back because they're a bunch of whiny little bitches. And they have just enough membership and power to go after these soft targets. But they won't touch the bigger hard targets.
They know they'll get crushed. And if you think about it logically, if they really care about this fictional content so much, when they go after South Park that's existed for decades and has a massive influence, or at least has a massive audience, well, they're hypocrites. Obviously, that's why they're not going after them, because they care more about fictional content from games from indie developers. But here's another member of Collective Shout.
Oh, God. Oh, chat, you see what I say? Do you see what I see? First fucking word. Those two words in her profile. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know that basically everything she says is bullshit. Everything she says is not rooted in fact. That all she cares is about ideology, doesn't care about facts, and will not listen to a dissenting opinion. She will not listen when facts are presented to her as a counter argument, and will just basically respond to that by saying, "You're a misogynist. You're a racist. You're an istophobe." It's all you need to know right there. If someone has not even the feminist part, if someone has activist in their profile, you can basically discount pretty much everything that they say these days.
The campaigns manager over there. Now, I was shocked to say I keyword searched cuties. I got no results. I can't believe it. Maybe there's something out there that I'm missing or they deleted something, but this is literally the first Collective Shout member that I have not seen publicly defend cuties. So anyways, she made this post that's getting a lot of backlash, where she said a group of women, including survivors, objected to games glorifying a bunch of these themes.
Receipts. I want receipts. Just because you're saying that survivors objected to these games, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You do not. Collective Shout does nothing but lie and virtue signal, so I do not believe you. Because you have done nothing to actually try and aid survivors currently. You have blatantly ignored survivors and current victims. So, no, I don't believe that survivors have objected to this game. Caitlin Roper, I'm calling you a liar. Unless you can prove receipts, unless you have receipts to back this up, I don't believe you. You're a fucking liar.
And then says, at Collective Shout, called on gaming platforms to take them down, and when they didn't, we wrote an open letter to payment processors who then required gaming platforms to update their policies and no longer host these games.
They did so not as a result of Collective Shout. Payment processors did so because they were just looking for an excuse. They were looking for a meat shield that they could use as an excuse to do this. The payment processors already had it in their heads that they wanted to do this. Collective Shout just happened to come in at just the right time and say, hey, we don't like this. And they went, oh, cool, a straw man we can use. Thank you so much. Okay, let me just plant you right here. All right, let's smack the gaming companies. Cool. They did it. It's all their fault. They did it. Collective Shout does not have the power or authority to make the payment processors, the most powerful companies on the planet, do fucking anything. They are a convenient excuse. They are a meat shield. They are a straw man for their dystopian or their authoritarian level of power that they are directing at companies.
As a result, thousands of men who are angry about losing their R-word games have subjected us to an onslaught
Women like these games
of misogynistic abuse, threats. They have sent us P-word, as well as this, which, by the way, if they did, I hope you reported that to the police if that actually happened. And then they say on and on and on.
Yeah, interesting to note that they're claiming that they've sent rape and death threats, that they sent them porn, and they sent them horrific child material. Why haven't they said we've reported this to the police? There have been several of them that have made this claim. Okay, the rape and death threats, a lot of online personalities received that. Not actually reporting that, I actually can understand, because a lot of notable online personalities will receive this frequently. Unfortunately, it's par for the course, and it comes in too much volume for law enforcement to do anything. But sending this, that should if you're actually receiving this material, that should immediately be going to the police. So why haven't they said we've reported this to the police? You would think that would be something they would want to crow about, that we were sent CSAM, and because of that, we have reported them to the police, and we will be cooperating with them with their investigation. That would be a feather in their cap if they did that. That would actually provide them with a measure of legitimacy. If they actually received CSAM, reported it to the police, and cooperated with the police to try and find who sent them this material to have them arrested. That would actually benefit them. But they haven't. They haven't actually said we've reported this to the police. So no, I don't believe it. This, I believe, happens way too frequently. Unfortunately, this happens way too frequently, and the police can't keep up with it. This That's a whole new ball of wax.
Expressed their desire for them to be harmed and all of these things. Okay?
Keen.
Now, here's the thing. They begin by saying men. They're generalizing every single complaint as men. Now, we know people like Madame Savvy. There's plenty of women who are at the forefront, and I specifically choose her because she is someone a member of their organization has directly mentioned and low-key threatened to take legal action against, which will be very...
And also called her a man. Collective Shout has also classified Madame Savvy, who is an actual biological woman. She's not even trans. She's a biological woman. They have classified her as a man. Just to remind you. And by the way, so many have flooded by. Everyone who is followed over at Kick, thank you very much. There have been so many names I have not been able to keep up, but thank you very much for the follows.
Very interesting for an Australian-based group to do against someone who I believe is, at least in North America, yeah, I guess good luck with that. But also we think about the sort of threats and how their lives are being put in danger. Think about this. They considered...
Yes, they did, Mars.
A repost from Elon Musk. Elon Musk reposting a petition against the group as something that is threatening to them, that put their lives, their physical safety in danger. So when they start talking about threats, keep this in mind. They consider reposts a form of potential violence against them. And also, some of the examples of the threats and what have you that they claim they're getting, the most famous one is an email. I'd have to scroll up to show, but basically I have to censor the whole screen because it is basically a light novel where there's very graphic detail of what someone is wanting to do to the members of Collective Shout. But as you can see, it got hit with a note saying that basically this is an invalid email address, and basically there's a lot of proof to claim they made this up.
Because of course they did. Because of course they did. Because people actually are doing this to them in the way that they say, and so they have to manufacture a boogeyman coming after them. Because of course.
That they crafted this email to themselves, which is not just pathetic, but kind of disturbing given the nature of what was said and how graphic it is. Like basically they're writing a dirty light novel to themselves, which if true is very, very weird. But going...
Yeah, if they sent this to themselves and they were in possessed of this kind of very material, if it is like underage of the variety.
FBI, open up!
Yeah.
Going back to this right here. Despite this, the dominant narrative is that we deserve it. That we, while on receiving ends of threats to hunt us down and game us, are the aggressors.
Ignoring this part, if it actually happened, if this actually happened, putting that aside, yes, you are the aggressors. You are the aggressors. You're going after gamers. You're going after businesses for nothing. You are defending fictional characters and ignoring real female victims. So yes, you are the aggressors.
That women are responsible for men's violence and abuse against us, and we should keep our mouths shut about...
Moose, your question, isn't fabricating evidence illegal? If the fabricated evidence is being provided to the police to try and facilitate charges against another individual, yes. If it's in the case of fabricating evidence in a social media post to try and bolster themselves and say, look at how righteous we are, here is our evidence, no, that's not illegal. It only depends solely upon if they are engaging with the police and trying to build a case or bring charges against another individual while presenting this false evidence. That would be the only case where it would be considered illegal, even in Australia, I believe.
Men are responsible for men's violence and abuse against us, and we should keep our mouths shut about our word and sexualized violence against women. These men reveal their true natures in their abuse.
to your point, I'm still standing firm on my commentary about that their political affiliation doesn't matter, because you want to look at who their donors are, because they will be operating off of the whims of their donors, not necessarily their political party affiliations. So I do still stand by that. It's about who the individuals or groups that are driving their narrative and driving their actions, not necessarily the political affiliations behind them. You look at the individual motives, not the political party that they ascribe to. If it's the entirety of a political party that is facilitating these donations and is and pushing them to do this, then certainly you could look at that political party. Absolutely. I'm not saying you can't. But what I'm saying is, don't automatically ascribe something to a political affiliation, because look at the individuals. Because just because a person or a group may be affiliated with a political party does not necessarily mean that they are speaking for the entirety of the political party. Off the cuff. Now, if they are actually making it known that they are speaking on behalf of a political party, that is different. But just off the cuff, the political affiliation doesn't mean anything.
And sexualized violence against women. These men reveal their true natures in their abuse of women who disagree with them. This has been a campaign of extreme misogyny waged by men, only men, I guess, who want to silence women who call out.
Again, campaign of men. Madam Savvy has been one of the most vocal opponents of Collective Shout. A woman who has been one of the most vocal. She has made numerous Twitter posts calling them out explicitly. She has made numerous videos and live streams calling them out explicitly. But it's only men. It's only men, right? Because Madam Savvy's not a man. Or not a woman. Madam Savvy in their mind is a man, not a woman.
Men's violence against us. Whatever your views might be on gaming or our campaign, there is no denying what we're experiencing right now is male violence against women.
In gaming, we're experiencing male violence against women in gaming alone. Fictional characters. Fictional characters, not real people. Real people, they don't care about. This is virtue signaling and gaslighting to the extreme here.
Lot to unpack there, huh? So yeah, you can see they're blaming this all on men. Clearly no woman out there would ever disagree with their message, but isn't it amazing how this is a group that claims they're trying to protect women, making sure they're not victims of fictional content, and they make themselves the victims. The biggest victims in this post is not the people they're trying to protect, it's themselves. It's Collective Shout. They're professional victims. This entire post is one.
Well, their entire organization is built upon victimhood, with them being the victims. They're not Collective Shout. They're collective victim identity syndrome. Every fucking one of them is suffering from victim identity syndrome. Every one of them. And no matter what happens, they're always going to profess to be the victims, and they're doing this because a victim is someone that companies and governments and etc. are more likely to acquiesce to a victim than to an activist. So they are painting themselves as the victims to give themselves some kind of false sense of legitimacy.
About how they're the real victims here, that they can't take the heat. You know what? If I went on a Twitter and cried about every single time I got a threats or someone wishing harm on me, I'd be making a post every 10 seconds. You're on the internet. You're getting into controversial issues. You're kicking the hornet's nest. You're taking things away from people. You're trying to morally grandstand and hold yourselves as the arbiters of what is allowed for people to purchase video games. You're trying to control what people can do with their own money and the things they can legally purchase, the legally available video games. You're deciding and being a hall monitor and going to payment processors and deciding that person, these people,
Moose,
everyone,
I
men
like
and women,
mine better.
cannot purchase something they're fully allowed to. And now you play the victim when all of a sudden there's a lot of negativity heading your way. Who would have seen that coming? Absolutely amazing. Now, this post would actually get the attention of this Reem Al-Salem individual who is, yes, a part of the UN. We have United Nations involvement here. So they say this is horrific and I'm very alarmed by it. It represents the most serious.
Okay. Before everyone starts freaking out about the fact that someone from the UN is responding to this, let's keep in mind the UN doesn't have a great track record right now when it comes to protecting the victims of sexual assault. There's plenty of discussion out in the cybersphere about how the UN is actually either ignoring or even allowing sexual assaults to take place, that they do nothing to actually prevent it. There are very few people out there right now that give a shit about the UN and actually have a very divisive viewpoint of the UN at this point. So bearing in mind, this statement by a representative of the UN means precisely dick. Yes, Jack, that's the point I'm making, is like there's been now I have not followed that, so I don't know how proven it is that members of the UN have actually facilitated sexual assault and that they are running like trafficking. I do not know if there's been any evidence to support this, but there's been plenty of discussion regarding it. And so that's why this is not bolstering Collective Shout's legitimacy. When someone from the UN, who people are already criticizing for these very issues, is saying something.
This form of online violence against women human rights defenders I have seen in a long time, all because Collective Shout is doing.
Collective Shout have united both the left and the right. Pro-Gamergate and anti-Gamergate united to these cunts down.
It's an impressive feat, that's to be sure.
Doing its job in calling out misogyny and violence against females online. I expect and hope all of those that have a mandate to act.
Wait, to your point, the Stop Killing Games thing, that's not going to the UN. That's going to the EU. Different official body. It's not. It's the Stop Killing Games initiative is not going to the UN. The UN has nothing to do with that. That one, it's going to the EU. So, a little confused. You might be a little confused there.
Line. I expect and hope all of those that have a mandate to act, be they state institutions or businesses, to put an end to these threats and to the violence. Seems a bit dystopian. You're saying the people who have a problem with Collective Shout should be
And again, this is a UN official that is all in on defending fictional characters. Hey, Reem Al-Salim of the UN, pretty sure your focus should be on actual fucking victims, like real life flesh and blood young girls that are in droves being raped and trafficked by people all over the world. Maybe that should be your focus instead of fucking video games.
Acted upon by the states? Is that what we're doing? Again, we've seen the kind of threats they claim are threats.
Oh, teen, that's a whole other thing.
Petitions. So yeah, I don't think I want any institutions getting involved here. That's insane. But you can see the UN doing what it does best, which is nothing to actually help anyone. Don't even start digging into all of the horrible things UN peacekeepers have done
Here
to
we
children,
go.
the countless
Yep.
children they have abused in their quote-unquote attempts
Yep.
to protect them across the globe. But anyways, you can see this whole thing is about things happening online. Is that the best use of the United Nations resources to complain about these poor people at
Chat, I'm gonna quote your favorite blue guy. True.
Collective Shout, getting mean things said to them online after they try to play the arbiter of what people can purchase legally with their money? It's completely ridiculous. And if this sounds familiar, right, this UN arc, it's because it is. We saw this back in the original Gamergate that started in 2014, and the main protagonist of that was, of course, Feminist Frequency. Basically, the OG Collective Shout, right? A group of feminists who got all the way to the United Nations. Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn and their other
these
cronies, they got all the way
bitches
to the UN to speak about the dangers of women in the gaming space.
And again, this is what the UN is spending its time on. The UN is spending its time listening to a bunch of butthurt women gamers that have a stick up their ass and can't handle shit talking in gaming. This is how the UN is spending their time and their resources. Listening to this. What the fuck is the UN going to do it? What is the UN going to do about this? Like, seriously, what the hell did they expect the fucking UN to do? This is outside of their purview to begin with. Women in gaming is completely outside of the UN's purview in the first fucking place. So this is PR. This entire thing was nothing but a PR stunt for the UN. That's all it was. It had no meat, and it was just like, look at us in the UN. We're all about female empowerment, right? We're all about, standing behind women in gaming. Aren't we wonderful? It meant nothing. Just like the whole thing with Collective Shout in the UN means nothing. The UN supports rape. The UN supports grooming. They support child abuse. They do. They're not getting past this.
Online. Now, of course, there has been a insane development. Anita Sarkeesian has come back after years of kind of laying low.
Sake.
The grift kind of ran out for her. She's now flipping sides, as pointed out here.
What?
She is now calling out payment processors for censoring adult.
Reached a new age. We have legitimately reached a new age where gamers and anti-gamers are actually coming together to go after the payment processors in Collective Shout. Visa, Mastercard, Collective Shout, all of you need to start having one of these kind of moments.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Because if you got the gamers and the anti-gamers together to collectively oppose you, you fucked up big time.
Adult content. She's changed teams. Now, don't buy this BS. This is an actual grifter. We hear the word grifter all the time, right? It basically means someone I don't agree with online. But the real definition is someone who will completely flip their values when it benefits them. And we're seeing...
Yeah. And yeah, Rev is 100% right. This is her just trying to basically this is her trying to establish some form of legitimacy so she can basically try and be relevant again. This is a desperate plea for relevance. That's why she's posting it on Blue Sky. Where all of the reading masses have gone to. She's looking for that sweet, sweet Blue Sky clout. And she's desperate to become relevant again because nobody gives a shit about her anymore.
Anita Sarkeesian do this in real time. The person who was always against the sexualization of characters, having even attractive characters in video games and in media. now turn around and say, oh, hold on, these payment processors have gone too far by censoring that exact same content. Well, we know that she is a giant hypocrite. People are already pulling up old articles where she said, after talking about all the terrible cultural imports or exports from Japan, including video games where there's attractive characters, she says, I would love for companies to have moral restrictions, but they don't. This is exactly what Collective Shout is doing right now. They're trying to impose
Anita Sarkeesian needs to realize you don't fuck with the internet. They bring the goddamn receipts.
Moral restrictions on video games, and are doing it through payment processors. On top of that, Feminist Frequency and all of their allies, they've made dozens upon dozens of articles crying about gamers and all of the problematic themes of games. And of course, Anita Sarkeesian is the one who made that famous Bayonetta video where she's complaining about how Bayonetta is like completely and utterly overly sexualized, and that it's a terrible precedent for women and young.
Anita Sarkeesian, where were you with the hypersexualization of every fucking male character in Marvel Rivals? Every male character in Marvel Rivals had a skin that basically had them completely bare-chested, muscles glistening. Where the fuck were you for that? Oh, right, I forgot. You don't actually give a shit about this.
Men online.
First, the positive things about the game. She's a single mother. And...
Hey, for God's sake!
That's kind of it. So on to the negatives. She carries with her 4 pistols, 2 of which are strapped to her high-heeled boots, which provide the perfect opportunity for her to contort her body into pornographic poses.
Oh my God, tell me you have not been laid without crying about the fact that you haven't been laid in God knows how long because no one wants to touch that crusty cunt of yours and listen to your mouth at the same time. This is a girl that's just pissed off because no one will fuck her. All of these women that are crying and complaining about hypersexualization and she has to contort herself in the pornographic poses. Yeah, they're not getting sex. Nobody's fucking them. And they're butthurt about it. That's all this is. It is literally as simple as that. Because they are not getting the D, they don't want men to get the B and the P. That's it. If she just got a good dicking, she probably wouldn't be doing this. Realistically. If she managed to find some guy that could just get her moaning and screaming for a few hours, she'd be fine. Well, right yet, I haven't been called out on it yet, so I'm rolling with it. Fuck it, we're doing it live. And Brave Skater, I can finally keep up. Brave Skater, thank you for the follow.
Including spreading her legs and doing a little flip in the air to kill the bad guys. When she lands, she does a little sexy pose for the player, complete with the sound of a camera shutter.
You're just jealous.
But it gets even better, because one of her most powerful weapons involves her stripping all her clothes off and turning her hair into an evil demon weapon fighting machine. And did you get that? The whole taking all her clothes off in order to use her hair as a weapon? Because...
Okay, shut up and take my money. Are you actually against this game, or are you trying to promote it? Because right now, it sounds like you're actually trying to promote it. And yes, Balmate, her clothes are for hair. That's the whole concept behind Bayonetta. Like, her clothes are actually her hair.
Clearly, you can't use your hair to drag demons down to hell if you're fully clothed. Predictably, the internet is now infested with gamers' screen captures of various ways that they got Bayonetta naked. As if this pornographic, overly sexualized, animated representation isn't bad enough, the way that Bayonetta restores her power is by sucking on a lollipop.
Hey, Anita, where were you bitching and moaning about the scene from JoJo where he was fondling, I think it was a cherry, with a very flexible and acrobatic tongue? Where was your outrage about that, huh? 'Cause that's easily just as pornographic. Yeah, and Anita, either go find a guy to have a one-night stand with, or break up the vibrator, because seriously, you need to get laid. Trust me, all of this will go away if you just get laid.
To really cap this off, after that interaction from that member of the UN, Collective Shout wrote an entire article talking about how they're the big victims and now the United Nations has got their back. And then they introduced this Michael Salter individual who's a professor and seemingly some guy who's been around for a long time whining about the same stuff that the original Gamergate was. And he says in a LinkedIn post, it's been shameful over the last week to see Australian academics in the media claiming that Collective Shout's successful advocacy against games that glorify sexual violence is a form of moral panic or discrimination against gaming creators. And of course, seeing this, people saw this professor backing him up over at Collective Shout, and Melinda would repost this LinkedIn screenshot here saying, yeah, we're on your side. And then Michael would repost that screenshot basically saying, I'm on board, we're standing side by side. Now, of course, I would ask Michael Salter, what are your thoughts on cuties? Because the people that you're now aligning yourself with were big supporters, and still are, by the way. They still haven't changed their opinion on that. But it's a good thing that we got Michael Salter right here directly talking about cuties, saying between cuties and QAnon, it's notable that mass concern about child abuse so rarely intersects with actual improvements to the safety and well-being of children, despite a multitude of available mundane practical steps. Everybody cares, but nobody cares simultaneously.
Nay, Mike Salter. You gonna point this attitude at Collective Shout? Like, they act like they're so concerned about it, but they don't actually advocate for any improvements to the safety and well-being of children. So are you going to point this at them anytime in the near future?
You know what? If you really do care and you want to make a difference, how about you stop aligning yourself with people who defend cuties? Seems a bit hypocritical, because you've come a long way. You were calling that out here, but now you're aligning yourself with people who justify the sexual exploitation of hundreds of children for a disgusting film, and now you align yourself with them. What happened, dude? You know, if you want to make practical, real changes, speak out against these people who think fictional content is more important than real kids.
Bingo!
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on this guy, but anyways, it's been a gigantic disaster over at Collective Shout. I'm glad people are speaking out against this group because, well, what they're doing is terrible. They're pushing an agenda, one that is hypocritical to their allies in many different ways. They're hypocrites themselves, and they're just trying to basically force their own beliefs and distastes upon you, and you have to deal with their censorship, or else you're, well, I guess you're some kind of a terrible man, apparently. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video.
Even if
As
you're
always,
a woman.
Feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah. So Collective Shout is running their collective gobs again, and once more doing nothing to help women or girls. Once again, completely ignoring the young victims out there screaming for help. But Collective Shout says, nope, you're on your own. We have to take care of the fictional ones. You don't mean anything. The fictional ones. The ones that don't actually exist. They deserve all of our attention. Not you. You had your chance. Your mom popped you out of her coochie, and now you're on your own. We don't want anything to do with you. The fictional ones, though, they have no one to defend them. Fuck you, Collective Shout.